I'm Bridgette Clarke of the Tony B Show, and today's guest is
Tony Sgro.
well, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Most definitely. I was so looking forward to this interview with you. So please tell everyone who you are.
So my name is Tony Sgro, and I am a lawyer and a musician, and I've been in Las Vegas for most of my life, other than going to school in Southern California. And we've had a law firm here for a long time, but we also have some entertainment venues and some bars and restaurants, and life's been good. We've been very blessed. And so somehow the combination between the day job and the night job have kind of meshed together over the years, and here we are.
Okay, wonderful. And congratulations on being in business that long.
Thank
It's
you.
truly a blessing.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by really good people that all contributed to where we are today, for sure.
Wonderful. So what people have you worked with?
So as a lawyer, I've had the opportunity to work with artists, and I've had the opportunity to work with music companies. Like I've done some work for the folks over at AEG, the Anschutz Entertainment Group, which is the second largest concert promotion company in the world.
Okay.
And helping them with various things. And I've had the opportunity to, on the artist side, work with everyone who's just barely trying to start out and get a deal, all the way to the coolest thing by far I've ever done was working with Prince. And I had the opportunity to work with him and do the last West Coast tour he ever did before, unfortunately, he passed away.
Very nice. Now, that is definitely a blessing. So what was it like working with Prince?
Incredible. Admittedly, I was like a modest fan. I liked his music. He was very, pop culture icon and all that. And I had the opportunity, because my partners and I that did that deal, we split up the shows. And so I now was going to many of his shows in different cities around the West Coast. And after I saw him perform, I was blown away. The best entertainer, guitar player. I saw him one time playing the keys, singing, adjusting his sound mix, directing traffic. I mean, the man was a genius. I'd never seen anything like that before. And I went from being, a modest fan to being someone that really got a tremendous opportunity to be educated, because that's what really being an entertaining musician and a talented musician, that's what it's like. I was ashamed to say I played guitar after I watched him. He was amazing.
I know. He was multi-talented.
For sure.
Yes. So you also worked on a case with him as well?
We did all the infrastructure for him. It's a funny story. The first request was whether or not he could travel. He was a big animal lover. He had giraffes at the time. Wanted to know if we could accommodate some of his animals, starting in Vancouver, coming down to Las Vegas. So it was, like I say, I learned a lot. I learned what I can't do, right? We can't put giraffes in the back of a train and transport them from state to state. But I was able to do the infrastructure part of his business on the West Coast tour that we did, which was great.
Very nice. So was he trying to transfer a giraffe across?
He was trying to travel with some of his animals,
giraffe?
including giraffes, not
Wow.
only giraffes. But yeah, it ended up being something we weren't able to do, but he was that kind of person. I wouldn't say I was close friends with him, but the little bit of interaction I had with him, it was all so positive. Everything began with and ended with, this city could use some love. Let's love over here. And when we would do the shows, as we arrived in each city, he would create a well right between the stage and the first seat, or the stage and the first person that could stand. And the well was designed to give away tickets to kids in need, those that were less fortunate. And so he'd send primarily his tour manager or us, whoever was available, to go find a charity donate 100, 200, 300 tickets to let people walk in for free, and they were right up in front with him. And the tour that I did, he made it a point to be very up close and personal with his fans. He wanted that level of intimacy because he enjoyed the energy he got to be experiencing and feeling when he was that close. It's much different than the stadiums and arenas that he had done also.
So he sounded very unique as well as just a beautiful person inside out.
He was. It was a tremendous experience, and sadly and unfortunately, it was one tour, and then we never had another opportunity because he would end up passing away sometime shortly thereafter. But that experience will be something I'll remember, forever.
Right. Well, truly a great experience, one that will be remembered, I'm sure, forever.
For sure.
Yes. So you worked in the law, or shall I say, you are an attorney.
I am an attorney, for sure.
And you've done it for many years?
Yeah, about 35 years now. I paid my way through school in large part by playing in bands when I was younger. And so music's always been a big part of, my personality, I guess. And so I was never really able to put it down all the way, which is why I tried to keep a toe in the water with venues that maybe needed help with some of the business side or representing artists that were looking for a place to go perform. And I myself was performing with different bands, and I still do it to this day. And I opened up with some dear friends of mine the first School of Rock in Las Vegas. And
very nice.
yeah, it was.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was great. And I was there every Sunday teaching, what they called a Rock 101 band. And it was just a lot of fun. And some of those kids now, because that was a long time ago, they're now adults. They're performing in their own bands around town. And it's just a really cool experience to see that growth.
So did you get a chance to play with Prince?
Oh, no. No, I wish.
That definitely would have been a dream come true, I'm sure.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. I was glad just to be in the same room. That was good enough for me.
I know, it was just like you being in awe.
Yeah.
So what instruments do you play?
So I started out playing drums, and then I moved over to the guitar, and then I slowly drifted over to the piano. But I've landed on guitar now. That's my primary instrument these days.
It's my favorite instrument, because I also wanted to learn.
Yeah, it's great, and there's nothing like having a rough day here than going home and then just turning the music up just a little bit too loud and playing. It's just the greatest stress reliever ever.
Music is key. Yes.
For sure.
So what is your favorite instrument to play?
These days is probably the guitar. I really enjoy it. And you can, be in any particular kind of mood, and the guitar is there to satisfy. So if you're feeling very chill, you can pluck on an acoustic guitar. If you're feeling more like you just need to get some stuff off your chest, you can crank up the distortion and play on a good old-fashioned electric guitar. Yeah, I think that's the one.
Okay. So I noticed that you have your beautiful office set up with your instruments.
I do indeed. I do indeed. It's sometimes the case that I can do a lot of my best thinking while I'm walking around strumming, just to think about how am I going to argue that, especially if I'm in trial. I'll come here at the end of the court session and think about what I'm doing the next day, what witnesses are going to be on the stand, what am I going to ask them. And the therapeutic nature of just strumming while I'm thinking is super beneficial.
So you just walk around the studio, rather your office, playing instruments, relieving some stress.
Yeah, I do. I do. And it starts out with people thinking I'm a little bit odd, but everyone's used to it now, so it's fine.
I'm sure they get some good music.
That's right.
Now, what people, as far as your court cases, would you say that you work with, like the criminal cases?
So on the criminal side, I still do 1 or 2 murder trials a year. And when I was younger, I was in trial all the time. Everything from extortion to drug trafficking cases to those accused of organized crime when I was younger, because that was still something that was occurring with some regularity. And in fact, some of the folks that I was involved in, years later, movies would be made depicting, what they were supposedly doing and who they were and all that sort of thing.
So there were movies from the trial itself.
Well, not necessarily from a trial, but from the lifestyle that was happening here in Las Vegas in the late 80s, which is when I came here. And I had the opportunity to be involved in some of those cases and working with some of those people because, I am Italian. A lot of the folks that were accused of these different things had Italian last names, and back then Las Vegas was still a pretty small community. And so we sort of knew each other, they would have known my family, or they were in the food business together, which is where most of my family spent their work life, was in the food business. So one thing led to another, and when I came out as a young lawyer, I was just someone that they knew from when I was a kid that they felt like they could trust.
Okay. So everyone knows that Las Vegas was big for like a mobster town.
Well, there's allegations to that effect for sure.
So how much truth is there?
Well, that depends who you speak to. I mean, there are those that were convicted of various offenses for sure, and there's a lot of those that were blamed for things just because they had an Italian last name, and nothing ever came of it.
Okay. So is there a word called, like, what is it, the underworld?
Well, what they tried to do was craft allegations under this rooftop of, allegations related to organized crime. That's what they used to call it.
Okay.
They had back then something called in the government an organized crime task force. And there was a group of attorneys much more experienced than I was, who had the lion's share of that work. But because of my familiarity with them, just being in Las Vegas and growing up here, when I came out of school, I inherited several of those cases and several of those clients that I would end up going to court for.
Okay. So what's the most major case you had here?
Well, major, if you define major by seriousness, I've had quadruple homicides, double homicides. Those are typically the most compelling because the stakes are so high. The state of Nevada is seeking to impose capital punishment. So those are by far the most serious.
Right.
In the other cases, even the ones in federal court, they were looking at terms of years, right? So the murder cases were always the most serious and the most stressful, because if you made a mistake or you missed something, literally someone could die because of it. So that was always the perspective from which we approached those cases, and why they were so demanding, and why I lost all my hair.
Well, it looks good on you.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So now, when you speak of like the cases and everything, what about the movie Casino?
Some of the folks in that movie, as they're represented in that movie, would be a lot. Some of the people I interacted with, worked with, as a young attorney here in town, and our former mayor and renowned defense attorney Oscar Goodman was actually in the movie. He represented a lot of the folks in that show as well. There's another attorney named John Mamet who also was a very seasoned, renowned lawyer who had his fair share of those folks. I was just kind of working with some of them that were depicted in that movie. And not only did I get to be involved in that at a high stakes level, but I got to learn from some of the best that there ever were.
Okay. So with that being said, what people could you say, are there any names that you could say? How about Gotti?
Gotti was in New York, and so I did represent someone who was accused of some allegations related to organized crime in Kansas City and in Idaho, of all places. The folks in New York that I worked with were those that had some ties, family, business, or otherwise, here to Las Vegas. So no, Bruce. There's a guy named Bruce Cutler who's also very good, who did a lot of Mr. Gotti's work. But yeah, no, I never did that one.
Okay. So with the cases in Kansas City,
Yes.
so what cases would you say that you work with there?
Same sorts of allegations related to organized crime. You know, it's tough, even though it was a long time ago. It still is. Some of those folks never had a case, right? Some of those folks had cases, but they went away. So it's not something where I didn't represent like the top tier person you'd know nationally. That documentaries still get made of today. I was always, probably because of my age, representing those that were just a couple steps down.
Okay. And you knew about the Valentine's Day.
Indeed. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So with you being in your field for all these years, I know you've seen a lot, you've done a lot, and you know a lot of people, but you still managed to play your instruments and your music on the side.
Yeah, it's not so much managing to play, it's needing to play. Because when you do this sort of work all day, every day, you have to have some healthy, positive outlet, right?
Yes.
And so I've had the misfortune of seeing some of my colleagues, maybe they drink a little too much, maybe they gamble a little too much, and then those are all very easy to get in, you know, that could be your rhythm in a town like this. And so if one is not careful, in a high stress environment, to have something where they can have a healthy outlet, it's not too far a stretch to understand why they're just going to go have a cocktail at the end of the day.
Right.
So I've tried to do a decent job, keep my head straight, to create these healthy outlets, these healthy opportunities to go get rid of the stress and then come back the next day recharged and ready to go.
Well, you sound like you do that very well. Yes. So I noticed you have pictures of Ozzy.
Yeah, so the music thing has always been good to me. I've been very blessed. And I had the opportunity to work on a project with Ozzy Osbourne, and it was a great experience. I got to spend the day with him and his wife, Sharon, and we went back and forth on some ideas related to a haunted house some years ago. And, you know, in Las Vegas, you have the opportunity to see a lot of really famous people.
That's true.
It's not often the case that I get, whatever, starstruck, if that's the right word. But man, you see Ozzy Osbourne, it's, you know, the man's a legend. You know, it's kind of like he was rock and roll's version of what Prince was, right? He'd been around a long time. He had been a global superstar for decades before I ever met him. And he was just nice, down to earth, wanted to know what the deal was about. Sharon could not have been kinder, nicer, more engaging. She was wonderful. And, you know, what a great experience, right? And those markers in time are the sorts of markers in time you never forget. You know, I'm sure Ozzy and Sharon have met 10 million people after me, and I'm a distant memory. But to me, seeing someone at that level of fame and fortune be so kind as to ask me, you know, what do you think I should get here? Or how's the appetizers at this place? I mean, it was just great. it was just great. And Ozzy and I toured a hotel space together to look at a potential spot for a haunted house. And we were walking together, just talking about whatever. It didn't matter, in that moment who he was or what he was doing. He was just a great guy.
Okay. So when you spoke of haunted house, was this to just have like a party type occasion?
Yeah, so they were contemplating getting the band back together and launching a tour sometime around the Halloween season. And so the idea was the development and creation of a haunted house. And to get into the concert, you'd have to walk through this haunted house, this haunted pathway in the house, and then eventually you'd get to the show.
Okay.
So that was the idea behind launching the tour in Las Vegas.
So how did it turn out?
How did it turn out? We got extremely close, and a competitor of the company that I was working with to put it together was able to persuade the Osbourne team that theirs was the better avenue. So we ended up not getting the deal, which sucks.
Too bad.
Yeah. But you know what? I got that day, that whatever 8-10 hours I got all day, and dinner time with someone
legend.
who's a legend. Sometimes getting the deal at the end of the day isn't quite as important as it seemed before you started the day. So I get to tell the story of how I posed. I at the end of the day, right, we went to the haunted house that was here in Las Vegas. The designer and developer of the haunted house concept had an operating one here in town. So we toured it, and it just turned out that Ozzy and I went out, and we were the two together, and I was going to make sure he had a ride back to his room. So at the end of the evening, I said, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" And he said, "No problem." So I went to put my arm around his shoulder. He put his arm around me, and the guy who's taking the picture says, "Okay, 1, 2, 3." And as Ozzy heard the number 3, he turned around and he started like he was choking me, which was hilarious, which is a picture that I still have. And that's how we ended the evening. So it was wonderful.
Sound like a blessing in itself.
It was definitely that. It was great.
So what is your pride and joy?
Well, I mean, family, my kids, grandchildren, successes are often measured by metrics delivered upon someone as opposed to the metrics that they themselves hold more dear. I'm in a wonderful relationship. My mom is still with me.
It's a blessing.
So I have so many things to be grateful for.
Yes.
I'm a cancer survivor. So,
Truly a blessing.
yeah, so it's
Yes.
huge. So I went from a visit a couple years back with a physician who told me to get my affairs in order. And, that's a pretty sobering reality when you get told to get your affairs in order, and you get these artificial timelines of how much longer you're going to be here.
Right.
And so, I obviously went and got a second opinion, thankfully, and I ended up working with a team of physicians and did the whole thing, couple surgeries, and then the chemo and the radiation, and I just completed my 1-year anniversary of treatment, and I'm all clean.
Congratulations.
Well,
It's
thank
truly
you.
a blessing, yes. So with that being said, everything that you've been through and everything that you was going through with that, what would you say kept you? What kept your peace of mind?
I had a lot of love and support through that process. I kept my head down. I kept a lot of it to myself just because
Right.
that's sort of my personality, right? Just keep your head down and just go, right? I'm from the old school where if you fall down and get hurt, you get some dirt and rub it on your leg and you're fine. So that's all I knew. So I don't know if it's for everybody, but between kind of just keeping my head down and having support from those close to me
Right.
at home, and having a team close to me here at work that was covering for me left and right, I got through it, and it sure crystallizes what's important,
Yes.
right? So when you say, what do you hold dear to you? Man, health right now, probably number
That's right.
one,
Health as well.
right? That's right.
Yes.
Health, diet, nutrition, working out.
Exactly.
And so now you throw in the opportunity to play music in there too once in a while. It's a pretty good gig.
Right.
Right.
So with those dark times, and like you said, that you had to keep your head down and do what you had to do, but overall, what would you say kept you through it all?
Well, look, I have a lot of faith in the big guy upstairs,
Okay.
right? And
Amen.
I'm a big believer that just was not my time. And the way the whole thing played out now in retrospect,
Yes.
the different twists and turns and landing at a different physician's office, just for example, that looked at me and said, you know what, he literally said, the next year or two for you are going to be awful, but you're going to get through it. And that's all I needed to hear. So, that's what I did. I just resigned myself to knowing that it's going to be a little bit difficult, but so what? The trade-off was the continuation of being able to be alive.
That's right.
So that was a pretty big deal. So in the end, it all worked out. I feel like I'm a better man for it.
Wonderful.
And life continues to move forward.
Yes, truly a blessing. And most definitely, you might as well say you're a living testimony.
There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. So, and then you got to figure out, well, why'd you get that second chance, right? So what is it you're supposed to do? So, you start out with the basics, right? So there's probably folks here in my office that don't agree, but I think I'm a nicer person these days. I think I'm more active and engaged with family members of mine. I think I hold my friends a little closer. So, you start with the basics and kind of go from there, because no one knows what the bigger picture is supposed to be. All you know is it wasn't your time. Well, okay, so it wasn't to do something nefarious or untoward, right? So that's how you start. You just start, maybe you're just a little bit nicer, a little bit kinder, a little bit more focused. Because when I was going through the treatments and stuff, I was hyper focused here at work. I didn't miss anything. I mean, it was it was just one of those things where there's so much going on externally that could have provided a distraction. I just refused to let it. Yeah. And they give you, when I went and started the treatment, they gave you basically a prescription pad full of things to go get. Pain medications, and you could basically sleep through treatment if you're so inclined. So
it was a lot.
It was a lot, and it was 2 or 3 shopping bags full of prescriptions. I'd never seen anything like it.
Wow. Did you take them all?
I lasted 3 days. Then I took the whole lot of it and I threw it in the trash.
Okay. So you kept the faith.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, you take one pill and it causes this side effect, and you take another pill to take care of that side effect, which creates another side effect. Exactly. And so by the time you're done, you're just trying to keep track of the next pill you got to take. So, I don't know that I did the right thing, and it's certainly not medical advice, but it just wasn't for me.
Exactly. My father went through it. He had 47 treatments of chemo, and he came out, I'm telling you, he took it like a champ the whole time.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is, but he was definitely, like I said, a champ, and I am, God rest his soul, but he is a hero. Yes.
Indeed. The other thing I realized is how many people came out of the woodwork once they learned what had happened to me, that it had cancer in their own lives. Yes. I didn't know about it, and they were doing nothing but offering unrelenting support. Just, hey, I've been through it. It's going to be okay. You're going to do, this is going to happen to you. That's going to happen to you. But in the end, it'll be fine.
That's right. You're still here.
That's right. I'm still here, and and it's not a solo journey by any stretch. you know, nor is other person's perspective on what success is. You know, it's the moment you start thinking that you did it all or it's all about you, you've missed the whole point of what it is that brought you to the point where you are successful.
That's right. So what is your meaning of success?
Waking up in the morning, being happy, and in my car on the way to my office, I'm in a good mood. On the way home to have dinner with my fiance, I'm in a good mood. On the way to, you know, whatever thing I'm doing, if I could be happy and I'm healthy, man, that's pretty successful to me. So, you know, it's a different metric altogether than negotiating your next pay raise or whatever. And I understand those things are important.
Right.
And I understand that when you're working at a company, you don't own the company, those that work with you or for you easily project, well, that's easy for you to say. Well,
Exactly.
you know, it wasn't for the last couple of years. That's for
So were
sure.
you always like this, or did you see it differently after you went through what you went through?
I'd like to think I was like this, but who knows? We all have revisionist history when we look in the mirror, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't we still see a 30-year-old when we look in the mirror? Don't we look back and only remember the good things that we did? You know, so I'm pretty self-aware. I hope I was close to where I'm at now, but I do feel like things are different, and I do make more of an effort now to make sure I avail myself if someone needs assistance in any regard.
That's wonderful. So I noticed that you have a lot of artwork here in your office, and what is that?
So my fiance is an artist. You can find her at mosslanderstudios.com. And when we designed this office, I had one of my cousins who did tile work in Italy for his career. He did all the flooring for me. So the stuff that we're walking on right now came from Italy, all because of him.
Beautiful.
Then she came in and she helped decorate and design. So it's mostly her artwork that is on the walls through this place.
And that beautiful guitar that you have.
Pardon me?
The beautiful guitar that she made for
Yeah,
you.
so she made me a handmade guitar, designed it and painted it, and I didn't have the heart to do anything other than put it in a case and display it. It's beautiful. She made it for me a couple years ago, and you know, I'm just very lucky to have her as part of my life, and she is super
very sweet.
invested in much of what we do.
Okay.
Including helping to design this place, because we've only been here about a year and a half now.
Okay, well, I'm sure she feels lucky to have you too.
Well, she should be. I mean, come on.
That's right. You seem very beautiful inside and out as well.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, you like to collect weapons.
I do.
So what weapons? Our weapons?
Yeah, you know, I like the, I don't know, not so much the firearms, but bows and arrows. I got a gift from a client one time. It was an Australian hunting spear, which is super cool. I had a case in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I was fortunate enough to meet with some artists and craftsmen there that did some handmade bows and arrows that they used over there for hunting. In Thailand, I got a dart gun. I have a old school ninja sword where when you open the bottom, it has the poison. And
Wow.
I mean, it's I don't know why it's an unusual oddity in my personality, but I do enjoy it. And
One of your favorites sound like?
yeah, I really like it. So when birthdays or holidays come around, it's sometimes the case that a client or a family member will find something unusual, and you know, get it for me, and I mess with it, and I've hurt myself more than once trying to figure out how the things work.
So you've gotten a lot of gifts from a lot of clients?
sometimes, if we get the right result and we're successful, there is the opportunity that some clients take to just say, hey, thanks. And, it's something that can be, it's much more thoughtful than it is over the top, right? Because I'd rather have a cool dart gun from Thailand where you do the blow darts than, many over the top. I'm not a big Scotch drinker, for example. So it's just been one of those things that over the years I've been able to collect these different pieces from these different countries, and I love it.
Wonderful. Notice you also have like memorabilia of Marvin Gaye.
I do. So years ago, I represented the Hard Rock Hotel here that had a ton of memorabilia in it, and as it transitioned into new ownership, I had the good fortune of having this beautiful Marvin Gaye photograph fall off the back of a truck and land in my office.
How lucky is that?
Very lucky.
Now, also, you have a picture of the Rat Pack.
I do. So a very dear friend of mine was the former president of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. He knows I'm a big music person. He knows I'm Italian, and so he. One or two Christmases ago, a package showed up, and it was just signed by him, and I opened it up, and it was a beautiful signed photograph of the iconic picture of them standing underneath the old Sahara sign.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's unbelievable piece, unbelievable piece, and it's something, obviously you can't go find it, right? He just happened to have it from years ago and was kind enough to let me now share it, and it hangs in my office to this day.
So what else do you have that maybe you got tucked away that's not really out and open?
I have different pieces that have been signed. So the same guy I opened up School of Rock with, for example, he's a high-level entertainment executive. He booked Bon Jovi for a concert, and he just called me up and he says, hey, come down, come watch a show with me, whatever. And I never know, I just said, sure, I'm available, I'll come down. And when I got down there, he said, I found this guitar. They had it in storage. He gives me the guitar, and there's John Bon Jovi's signature on it.
Wow. Another collectible.
Another collectible. I had the opportunity when they inducted Collective Soul into the Hard Rock Wall of Fame there that they had.
Very nice.
He invited me down, and we got to hang out with the band. And, I've just had wonderful, blessed experiences, none of which I created really, but just I benefited from friends and family who have invited me to do various things, participate in different things. And so the music stuff's always been a lot of fun. The keyboard player in the group that I do now, the Italian Rock and Roll Show, he co-produces the show with me. He knows I'm a big AC/DC fan. Got me a signed photograph from Angus Young, who's now 74 or 75 years old. They're a guitar player, so that's a cool piece. So, like I said, just very lucky, very blessed.
Truly blessed, yes. Sound like you have a museum at home, and
I have some really cool stuff that I've been able to memorialize. The photo with Ozzy, different people I've had the opportunity to meet. It's been great.
That's wonderful.
It's been great.
Yes. So tell everyone where they can find you. What are your platforms?
So, well, anyone can find me, I suppose, at work. The law firm is Sgro, S-G-R-O, and Roger, R-O-G-E-R. Dave Rogers has been a friend of mine my whole adult life. He was the DA for all of Southern Nevada for about 20, 25 years. We actually tried cases against each other. He was prosecuting murder cases. I was defending those accused of the murder. And we developed a really healthy mutual respect for one another.
So you became friends through that.
We became friends incredibly. That's how it used to be here, and there's still some of it. It's changed a little bit as the town has grown. But we used to go in there, and just respect each other. It's like two boxers fighting in the ring. That's why they hug and high five each other at the end of a fight, because they know they just competed against someone really good at what they do. And so win, lose, or draw, there's a respect that exists in the execution of the art form.
Right.
In that case, it's boxing. In our case, it was lawyering skills. And we battled, man, do we battle, many times. And at the end of it, we became super close friends. I'm godfather to his daughter. We see each other all the time, so it couldn't be better. It just goes to show you, you just never know how it's going to turn out. So that mutual respect really has contributed to a solid foundation.
So starting out like competitors, and then you became friends.
Yeah, at 100%. And some of my closest friends are those that are in law enforcement or at the DA's office, just because we've worked against each other for so long. We know each other,
Right.
And we respect each other's skill sets. And we know that what we do in the courtroom. We leave it all in the courtroom. And when we're done, we might go grab a coffee. We might go grab a beer. There's an ability to do that the more you do this work.
Okay, so do you still love what you do?
I do. I feel like, I'm reasonably good at my day job. I love what I do at night. I've partnered with different people in the entertainment world, getting some bars and restaurants together, and that's a lot of fun. And we get to work with a lot of great people that have nothing to do with the legal business. So I've worked with great chefs and great bartenders and great food servers and, people of all walks of life that really enjoy their craft. And so I look at them and I think they are very successful because they're great at what they do.
Right. So what is the greatest thing you've done here in Las Vegas that you feel like is your, might as well say your joy?
I enjoy, I've gone to elementary schools and done this Little Red Riding Hood mock trial with fifth graders. Red Riding Hood, right? She goes into the house of the three bears. Is that burglary, right? She broke a chair. Is that destruction of property? This play that we do, and I love watching the kids, respond and talk about what they think the law should be. And I had a chance with some very dear friends of mine to open the School of Rock, where we got to teach kids how to play drums and guitar and piano and sing and perform. And I saw kids coming in with hair down below their eyes and shy and in the corner, and all of a sudden they're on stage in 6 months, and the confidence shooting through the roof. And I've worked with folks here in my day job, being able to help get people out of bad situations. So, there's nothing more validating than pouring yourself into something and then getting a positive return back in whatever circumstance that is. If you're in a band and you execute a song that sounds great, you get a huge adrenaline rush. Wow, that was great. And then throw on top of it, there might be a few people that applaud and say, great job. That's wonderful. You're in trial in front of a jury, and the jury gives you a verdict that goes your way. Then they stick around after the trial's over and they say, hey, you did a great job. Man, that makes you feel good. So, all the way down to doing something for the person I'm in a relationship with, where she says, wow, that really made me feel great. It's that exchange.
Satisfaction.
It's the ability to give without a closed fist.
That's
right? The ability to give a gift without ever expecting anything in return. And then when you get something in return from a family member, or a friend or your significant other, it's pretty cool.
I love that. I agree. Mom always said you can't, God loves a cheerful giver.
That's right.
Yes. And I commend you for working with the kids.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. My former law partner says that at least 100 times a day. God loves a cheerful giver.
That's right.
That's his saying.
I think we all should remember that. Yes. It should just go freely. Yes. Come from the heart, rather.
For sure.
Yes. So give everyone your platform.
So, sgroandroger.com. And then the name of the band we're in. So I own some clubs around town, and we produced, wrote, and do an Italian rock and roll show, a tribute to Italian music that was stolen, right?
Yes.
It's the marquee of the show, and converted into American hit songs that you have no idea that they actually were hits in Italy first. So there, we designed a show around that. And the name of the band is Limoncello. And so you can find us there as well in terms of the entertainment stuff that we do.
And you'll be there playing?
I'm there playing at the Composer's Room right now in Commercial Center, which is one of our spots.
Mm-hmm.
One of my cousins is the first female ever to win the World Champion Pizza Maker. So she built a truck with her husband. Everything was designed in Italy.
Congratulations to her.
Yeah, she's awesome. Her husband's awesome. And the name of that business is Signora Pizza, so you can find us there. So we just try and do what we can in the community. I've been on the board of Boys Town for a long time, working with the kids at Boys Town, forever doing things, being involved in school programs and in-home family things, and that's been amazing. And because of
You got the key to the city?
Key to the City, which was really cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And working with now recently, because of my most recent personal situation, working with the Cancer Society has been really educational as well. So listen, man, life is good. I'm very blessed. But you know what? It maybe seems like I do a lot, but you know, I'm here to figure something out. Right, it wasn't my time yet, so I'm figuring it out. So I'm going to do everything until
So you're doing God's will.
until it lands a certain way. We were able to open up an office in Reno recently, which is great. We were able to open up an office in Milan, Italy, which was awesome.
And matter of fact, you've got this from there too,
Yeah,
correct?
this
Shipped and imported, rather.
Yeah, so I've been walking through some different law firms and business centers in Italy and trying to replicate the feel of what I feel like when I'm over there. So it's, like I say, I'm very blessed, right? Going to Italy is a great thing, always.
But you wasn't born there.
I was not born there. My parents were, my family was. I was born in Toronto, actually Hamilton, just outside Toronto. First person in my family not born in Italy. But I spoke Italian before I spoke English. In fact, going to school was a little tough, because I didn't understand much of what was going on. So I sort of picked it up as I went.
Okay, but you go there often.
I do, yeah. I'm going in about 2 weeks from today.
Very nice.
So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your journey with me.
Thanks for having me. It's really cool.
Most definitely. Yes, I wish you many blessings and continue to spread your joy and the love to the world.
Likewise.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So everyone, thank you so much for watching the Miss Honeybee Show. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. God bless.